Despite the mainstream media's best effort, it's not really a secret that Lord of the Rings of Power, has been a complete and total dumpster fire. They have been dealing with months worth of backlash. Amazon tried to hide the reviews. They tried to silence fans, but none of it worked because at the end of the day, the product was garbage and people called it out and they got eviscerated for it. We know what the audience has thought about it from the very beginning, and it only got worse as the season went on. Then we saw the ratings that have started to come out for this show, and we realized that for the most expensive TV program in history, $700 million for season 1. The ratings they're getting are an embarrassing failure for Amazon. And the two people who may be most responsible for this, of course, are J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, the showrunners for Rings of Power, the ones who had to do damage control before the season was even over to try to hype people up for season 2, to try to get them to watch the finale, which they likely didn't. The same people who called fans patently evil for wanting them to stick to the lore, to stick to Tolkien. Well, it looks like they might be getting the brunt of the blame at Amazon. Take a look at this. Amazon to retool Lord of the Rings of Power. Sideline current showrunners after first season was, quote, more of a failure than they could have anticipated. And this lines up with things that I have heard behind the scenes from a couple people that are in the know, that have friends that work close to the Rings of Power people. They've said in the middle of this season, before it was even over, what the fuck is going on? It seemed like they were shocked that they could fail this hard, that people just didn't like it, like they were so up their own ass. They had no idea that this would be the audience reaction, but it unequivocally has been. It's been a disaster for them because the fans don't like it and the fans have tuned out. The fans were not watching this show, at least not in the way they needed them to. Because you spend $700 million on something, you need record-breaking, earth-shattering global phenomenon numbers. They even admitted as much. Now, Amazon also said, some insiders said, even if it fails, they're never going to tell you. They're never going to let you know outwardly it's been a failure because that will be so bad of a PR move for them. So this may be something that we see happening. Showrunners get sidelined. Somebody else comes in. They don't say you're fired. They don't say we fucked over the fans. They don't say we lied to you. They simply say, hey, we're going to bring some other people on the team too to help out with this. Yeah, we're not buying it. We can smell the bullshit. With Amazon's live-action bastardization of Tolkien's seminal fantasy works having underperformed by every metric, a new rumor suggests the company will be retooling Lord of the Rings of Power for its second season, starting with the sidelining of the current showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. Word of this apparent shakeup was first suggested by noted film critic, industry leader, and Film Threat founder, my man Chris Gore, during an appearance on Midnight's Edge in the morning. Discussing the series finale, Andre asked, what have you heard from your peers in the industry? Is everyone so impressed with Rings of Power like the showrunners suggest we should be? And Chris Gore says, no. In fact, Gore said not only were his industry contacts unimpressed, but the reception was so abysmal, Amazon has set out to course correct for season 2. Quote, I heard from someone who has a contact at Amazon that, if you want to know, that effectively they're going to be retooling. And Payne and McKay are more than likely, they're not going to be publicly fired, but the role will be reduced. Potentially just remaining in the writer's room, but my understanding is they're looking for more experienced showrunners. Maybe you should have done that from the beginning. Maybe the idea of giving the most expensive, the biggest budget TV series that has ever been made in history, $1 billion for 2 seasons, $700 million just for season 1. Maybe giving that to people who have legitimately no experience wasn't a great idea. Maybe it handing over to people and they say, hey, you know what? We're not going to stick to the canon. If Tolkien didn't specifically write it this way, we're just going to do whatever the fuck we want. And then even when Tolkien did write it this way, we're going to ignore it because we're pieces of human fucking feces. That's what these people are. They are garbage human beings. They bastardized Tolkien. They lied to everybody about it. And now they're reaping what they sow. And it's exactly falls in line with all the similar things that I have heard as well. I've heard from people that are close that say the same exact thing is going to happen for season 2, that they do need to course correct. There's a big change in a lot of different people that are working on it, but they're not going to outwardly come out and admit that it's a failure because they can't do that. To this end, Gore detailed Amazon is, quote, well aware of the problems before noting that while there's what they'll publicly say, There's also what they're actually doing behind the scenes. And what they're doing behind the scenes is they're freaking out that this was more of a failure than could have been anticipated. And then Gore also says this: 3 key reasons for the change. I think the quality of the show is the number one thing. Audiences are like, why am I still watching this? This is sleep-inducing. The second thing is the rejection from fans. I can't believe there has to be very few people who remain who still like it. And thirdly, the direct comparison or competition from House of the Dragon. Even like pre-seed and post-seed of the show's airing, it started earlier, ending later, thus keeping viewers' consciousness for a longer period of time. And as we stated, House of the Dragon is outpolling Rings of Power at a fraction of the cost. I think the budget for this is $200 million, if I'm remembering right. $200 million for 10 episodes of House of the Dragon, 20 mil per episode. $700 million is wrapped into season 1 of Rings of Power for 8 episodes. And House of the Dragon's beating it. But it's not just about this number. House of the Dragon also airs on HBO, like HBO linear cable. They have people DVRing it. They have people watching on demand, all this stuff. We are talking millions and millions and millions more people watching this House of the Dragon than they are Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. It's a disaster, just like we said from the beginning. And now it looks like Amazon is panicking, freaking the fuck out behind the scenes because everything we said the entire time was right. We tried to warn you. We tried to tell you if you're the audience members. If you're Amazon, we tried to tell you over and over and over again. And all you did was attack people and say this criticism is equal to bigotry and racism. And you know what? That may have worked on some people. You may have gaslit some people, but for the vast majority of people out there, they rejected it. They didn't believe you. And now you're sitting there with a disaster on your hands. You know what you think about all this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.